I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing. It was lying on the nightstand, exactly where I'd left it before going to bed, but when I reached for it, the lock screen made me pause. The background photo wasn't mine. It was a picture of a man I'd never seen before, smiling, arm around a woman I didn't know, standing in front of a house I'd never been to. I swiped the screen, expecting some kind of glitch. Maybe a friend's phone had ended up in my apartment by mistake, but the lock code didn't work. My code, the one I'd been using for years. I tried again. Wrong. A notification slid down from the top. David, are you on your way? You're late for work. David, my name is Mark. I sat up in bed, suddenly aware of how still my apartment felt. My laptop was open on the desk across the room, so I got up and tried to log in. Wrong password. I tried again. Wrong again. I clicked forgot password and typed my email, except, according to the system, no such account existed. My chest tightened. I grabbed my wallet from the counter and flipped it open. My driver's license was gone. In its place was an ID with my face. But the name read David Carter. The photo looked like me. The eyes, the jawline identical, but there was something off in the smile. Something smug. This will carry us deep into the hook and start building the full 10, 0, yeah characters, foundation for your story. I dropped the wallet onto the counter like it had burned me. My hands were shaking, my breath. Run a carpet I'd never seen before. The old brass numbers on the doors had been replaced with sleek silver plates. I turned to go back into my apartment, but the door behind me wasn't mine either. The wood was darker, newer, and the number read 304. I lived in 312. The air smelled faintly of lemon cleaner. I took the stairs two at a time and stepped out into daylight, desperate for something familiar. The street was almost right. Same layout, same corner store. But the store's faded red awning was now a bright green one, and the old man who usually sat outside smoking was gone. I crossed to the store and pulled open the door, hoping the clerk I knew would be there. He wasn't. Instead, a young woman behind the counter looked up from her phone. "Hey, David," she said with a casual smile. "You forget your coffee again?" The sound of that name made my stomach turn. I forced a smile. "Yeah, I think I left it at home." "No worries. Black with 2 sugars, right?" She was already pouring it. I walked out with the coffee without paying, she didn't even ask, and sat on the curb outside. I tried my best to think logically, to piece this together. Had I been drugged? Hit on the head? Was this some elaborate prank? But if it was, who could possibly have swapped out my entire identity overnight? I needed proof. I walked 10 blocks to the ad agency where I'd worked for 6 years. My key card didn't work. The security guard didn't recognize me. "You're not on." Short. I dug through the rest of it, credit cards I didn't recognize, all with David Carter printed in neat block letters. The only thing that looked familiar was the photo on each one. It was my face. Every time. But wearing a smile I knew I'd never made. I pulled open the kitchen drawer and grabbed the small box where I kept my passport. I flipped it open. Same thing. David Carter. Date of birth. 1 day earlier than mine. That tiny detail chilled me more than everything else. I grabbed my phone. No, this phone. And opened the contacts list. It was full of names I didn't know, except one. Mom. I hit call before I could think. She answered on the second ring. "Hello? Mom, it's me. Something..." She cut me off. "Who is this?" My mouth went dry. "It's me, Mark. Your son." A pause. I could hear her breathing, steady but tense. "My son's name is David," she said slowly, like explaining something to a stranger. "If this is some kind of prank, I'm standing in my apartment right now, the one on Westfield Avenue." "My son doesn't live there," she said, and then, softer, "Please don't call here again." The line went dead. I stood in the silence for what felt like a lifetime. The hum of the fridge, a faint ticking from the clock on the wall, I had to get out. I threw on a hoodie, shoved the wallet into my pocket, and stepped into the hallway. But the hallway wasn't mine. The peeling cream-colored wallpaper was gone, replaced with clean white paint and "The employee list?" he said after checking twice. "But I've been here for years." He turned the monitor toward me. A photo of him, the man from the lock screen, the man who looked exactly like me. Name: David Carter. Position: Senior Creative Director. My position: I stumbled outside, my mind spinning. That's when a car pulled up beside me, a black sedan with tinted windows. The passenger side window slid down slowly, and I froze. The man in the passenger seat was me. Not just a lookalike, me. Same haircut, same stubble, same scar on the chin from the time I fell off my bike when I was 12. He leaned out slightly, smiling. That same smug smile from the ID photos. "Stop following me," he said. And then the car drove away. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, the sound of the car's engine fading into the city noise. My own face had just told me to stop following him, like I was the one intruding into his life. I wanted to run after the car, but my legs wouldn't move. My head felt light, as if my brain was struggling to hold two different realities at once. I finally started walking, nowhere in particular, just moving to keep from collapsing. Every time I passed a reflective window, I caught sight of my own face and flinched. It wasn't my reflection I was afraid of, it was the thought that maybe I wasn't the original anymore. I needed answers. The first person who came to mind was Greg, my best friend since college. If anyone could confirm who I was, it was him. I called his number. The phone rang twice before a voice I didn't recognize picked up. "Yeah? Greg?" I asked. "Who's this?" "It's Mark Turner." A pause. Then laughter, harsh, short. "Real funny, man. You know I've been friends with David since freshman year. Don't call here again." Click. I stared at the phone like it might explain itself. Either everyone I knew had suddenly decided to erase me from their memory, or they genuinely believed this David was me. And the worst part? I didn't know which was more terrifying. I ducked into a coffee shop to think. I pulled the stranger's my new wallet from my pocket and examined the contents more closely. The driver's license had an address I didn't recognize. My credit cards all had David Carter printed in raised silver letters. There was even a library card. It was all perfectly ordinary and perfectly wrong. I decided I had to see that address. If nothing else, maybe I'd find some crack in this bizarre facade. The house was in a quiet neighborhood across town. 2 stories, freshly painted blue, with a white fence and a neatly trimmed lawn. A silver SUV was parked in the driveway. I walked up the front steps and knocked. The door opened, and there she was, Claire. My Claire. We'd been together for 3 years. We'd talked about moving in together, about marriage, but now she was standing there in yoga pants and a sweatshirt, holding a mug, looking at me like I was a complete stranger. "Can I help you?" she asked, polite but cautious. "Claire, it's me, Mark." Her eyebrows drew together. "I think you have the wrong house." I stepped forward. "No, listen, something's happened. This guy, David Carter, he's stolen my life. My ID, my job, even my..." A voice from inside interrupted me. "Honey, who's at the door?" And then he appeared. David. My double. My thief. Only now he was wearing my favorite hoodie, the one I'd bought last winter, and he had his arm around Claire, like it belonged there. "Everything okay?" he asked her. She nodded. "Yeah, just some guy at the wrong house." David looked at me for a long moment, his smile widening like he knew exactly how powerless I felt. Then he shut the door in my face. I stood there until the porch light clicked off. That night, I didn't go home, not that I knew where home was anymore. I found a cheap motel and paid cash. I sat on the bed, staring at the ceiling, running through every possibility. Amnesia? No. I remembered my life perfectly. Parallel universe? Impossible. Identity theft? Sure, but not like this. I fell asleep with the TV on. At 3:12 a.m., I woke to the sound of my motel door unlocking. The click of the motel door lock sent an electric jolt through me. I didn't move. I kept my breathing slow, eyes half closed, pretending to sleep. The door opened just enough for a shadow to slip inside. I saw the faint outline of a man, tall, broad-shouldered, moving toward the bed. In the dim light from the parking lot, I recognized the silhouette. David. He stood there for a moment, watching me. I could almost hear his breathing. Then he leaned down, so close I could feel the heat from his face. "You don't belong here, Mark," he whispered. My heart pounded, but I kept still. "I've been patient," he continued. "But you keep pushing. You're making this harder than it has to be." He set something on the nightstand. I risked a glance. It was my old wallet. My real one. Then he straightened up. "Tomorrow morning, you'll take a bus out of town. You'll start over. If you don't, people you care about might start disappearing. Understand?" I wanted to lunge at him, to tackle him right there, but my mind was racing faster than my body could act. He slipped out of the room as quietly as he'd come. The second the door clicked shut, I jumped up, grabbed the wallet, and opened it. My ID, credit cards, everything all back where they belonged. Except the address on my driver's license wasn't the one I'd had before. It was his. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, instead of running, I followed him. I trailed him from his home, my old life, to a sleek office building downtown. I waited until he went inside. Then I approached the front desk. "I'm here for David Carter," I told the receptionist. She looked me over, then smiled. "Of course, Mr. Carter. Your 11 a.m. is ready." My skin prickled. She thought I was him. I let her lead me. Upstairs to a glass-walled office overlooking the city. On the desk sat a folder labeled with my name, Mark Turner. Inside were documents, photos, even recorded phone calls. All about me. My life, my routines, my friends, my habits. It was a surveillance dossier. And at the bottom, a note in David's handwriting. Phase 1 complete. Identity transfer successful. Phase 2 begins. Memory integration. I didn't understand what memory integration meant until I heard the door lock behind me. David was standing there, smiling. "You're just in time," he said. "This is where you finally become me." I backed away. "Why me? Out of everyone, why my life?" His eyes gleamed. "Because you're easy to erase. No parents, few close friends. And you were already disappearing in the world you just didn't notice." He stepped closer. "When I'm done, you won't even remember your own name. You'll wake up in some other city thinking you've always been someone else. And I'll live the rest of my life as Mark Turner." I realized then that fighting him physically wasn't enough. I had to turn his own plan against him. So I smiled back. "Funny. That's exactly what I was thinking." He froze for half a second, and in that moment, I grabbed the folder and ran. I didn't stop until I was 3 blocks away, lungs burning, the city spinning around me. I still don't know how many people like David are out there, or how they do it. But I keep the folder hidden, and I watch the reflections in every window I pass, because one day he might come back, and this time, I'll be ready.